After the 2018-2019 school year went underway, the students settled into their normal schedules.
From programming robots to reforming plays, all you need to know about what's happening in this school and more. Coming up next on this episode of Wildcat News.
Welcome to the second edition of Wildcat News for the 2018 school year. I'm Kevin Patterson.
And I'm Jacqueline Spano. With environmental issues on most people's minds, many wonder what can be done about it. Warwick Valley Central School District has recognized this, making many improvements for the better. Here's Mike Gorowski with the story.
With growing threats like climate change and pollution on everybody's mind, many are trying to take steps to prevent their impact. However, many are discouraged by how long these projects take, believing that they have little to no impact. The Warwick Valley School District realized that they could make an impact, recently beginning to integrate green technology across the district. It began with the construction of the solar field, the largest school district-owned solar project in New York State. Since it started to produce electricity in February of 2018, the solar field has saved the district over $200,000, covering the bulk of the district's electrical costs. Another investment made by the district is a biodigester for the high school kitchen. It takes food waste and, using a combination of sharp blades and microbes, turns the waste into a liquid, which then goes down a drain. However, the program isn't only about the purchases that the school has made. It is also about educating students on how to lead a sustainable lifestyle.
It's important that if we expect that students are going to live sustainable lives after they leave Warwick, then it's important that we are showing that while they're here in Warwick, we give them options. We give them options for recycling their waste as they leave each classroom. It's important that we are aware and show them that we are making purchases in transportation that are more environmentally friendly.
The efforts made by the district all culminated in the summer of 2018, when administrators from the district traveled to Washington, D.C. to receive the Green Ribbon Award, with Warwick Valley High School being the first high school in New York to win the award.
I think it was a tremendous honor to be one of the leaders in New York State and be around other colleagues around the country who's actually taking this initiative very seriously and know how important it is for our environment. So it was good. It was actually really an honor.
Despite receiving the award, the district's green mission is far from finished.
We're constantly looking at different pieces from just maximizing the digester by constantly weighing our garbage. There's still a lot left to do, and we're constantly trying to press forward.
The green improvements made by the Warwick Valley School District have helped to make the district more sustainable, reducing their waste and using green electricity to power the schools. Although there is still work to be done, the district is moving in the right direction, creating a more sustainable district and educating students about the benefits of a sustainable lifestyle.
This definitely shows that being environmentally conscious is a good thing for our school, as it has helped with our overall sustainability.
Technology is quickly advancing in the world, and it develops more and more each day. The demand for improvisation is huge, so the only way to fulfill that need is to teach the new engineers on how to create.
At school, students can learn about all sorts of new technology. In the robotics and engineering class at Warwick Valley High School, the students can learn how to navigate robots through a tricky maze by programming them.
Robotics and engineering is one of the next steps to Project Lead the Way. We actually teach them how to code. We actually have them do things in the virtual world, so they learn how to program in Robot C. Once they do that, then they can take that code. They actually physically build a robot, so it's a hands-on experience, and then they have to test their code in real life.
Students are given a chance to do what engineers do, turn ideas into robust working machines by coupling hard work with basic science and mathematics skills and concepts.
For the first assignment was this labyrinth challenge, where they had to go through the maze and not hit any of the blue lines on the tape. Next, we're going to be working on different components of the robot, like a sonar sensor and a line tracker.
With all of the challenges to overcome, succeeding in the class feels very rewarding.
For our motors, the things that you plug into the brain of it broke, so we had to take our whole robot apart and put new motors in. Our wheels weren't turned the right way and stuff like that. We had batteries and everything like that, and the cortex itself, even the brain, we had to switch out again. And then, just a bunch of stuff in the hallway of it not going straight and everything, all those kinds of problems that you got to fix with the code on the program.
Through trial and error, the students learned how to use their mistakes as a tool to grow further, while also learning to engineer the future.
From programming robots to designing a building, the skills that are gained from the robotics and engineering class will always stick with the students.
For students in criminal law and justice program, learning about what goes on in the field is one thing, but hearing firsthand experience is another. Here's with the story is Mike Gorowski. Let's take a look.
Recently in the criminal law and justice program, Maritime Enforcement Specialist Richard Weber of the U.S. Coast Guard came in to talk to the students about his law enforcement career. Weber spoke about his experiences in the U.S. Coast Guard, tying it back to the students' law enforcement education.
One thing is to have an understanding of theory and understanding of policy, and it's another thing to actually see what it looks like when it's done in practice.
The experience was eye-opening for the students, as they had learned the real-life applications of their education, as well as learning something new.
Well, I mean, I didn't know a whole lot about the Coast Guard, so this was a fantastic learning experience. It definitely interested me a little bit to know that they don't just meddle in. It's not like Navy 2.0. It's more like it actually has a law enforcement aspect to it.
We'll give them like a more in-depth look because I've never known anybody that's been in the Coast Guard because a lot of my family have been in the Army or the Marines, so it's kind of a different perspective.
The presentation by Mr. Weber proved beneficial to the students, providing insight into what to expect in their future career paths.
It's interesting to see how students had a new perspective on their education after that speech. Thank you to Criminal Law and Justice class for letting WVTV record this event.
Students at Warwick Valley High School are always solving problems, but not all of them are math or science related. Some of them are for the real world and affecting the present along with the future. Let's have a look.
No one should have to worry about where they're going to get their next meal from. Fortunately for those in need throughout the Warwick community, Mrs. Sherry Blauner and Mrs. Gina Buffardi, with the help of their students, have started the Empty Bowls Club. Their problem is how to feed the hungry.
The Empty Bowls Club is twofold. It's a means of assisting people in the community, and it's also a means of spreading the knowledge of clay and how clay can be both healing and functional at the same time.
The Empty Bowls Club is a group of kind-hearted students who use their love of pottery to help those less fortunate than them. 224 people right here in Warwick are in poverty. The Empty Bowls Club works to help those families, selling their bowls along with other pottery at different events, giving the profits to those in need.
My favorite thing is definitely seeing people buy my bowls. Just knowing that I'm the reason that there's $20 to $25 going to a local charity is a really great feeling.
They work hard to do good in the world, all while learning a fun and possibly even useful craft. Last year they raised over $3,000, and it all went right to the people who needed it.
Last year we really had a lot of students contributing. We really sold a lot of bowls, and we also had local potters coming in and volunteering their time and working with kids. So it was really a phenomenal event.
It's a club filled with care that you should give a look at if you get the chance. Who knows, you might just enjoy it.
Looks like a great way to help out the community with a positive impact.
When Wildcat News returns, we will have the second edition of School Talk.
Mr. DeLeo had the chance to talk about the future of the students coming up next.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of School Talk. I'm your host, Nick DeLeo. School Talk is designed to give a direct one-on-one connection with the leaders that make Warwick Valley High School so successful. Joining me today is a good friend of mine, Mary Fox, and she's our Warwick Valley High School Director of Guidance. Hi, Mary. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's November, and it's the season of seniors, and one of the biggest challenges students face is what they're going to do after graduation, as you know, and our seniors are thinking about it right now. So for many of our seniors, that answer is college. So today's episode is really about our seniors and what they should be doing to prepare for college. So the first question is, what should a student be doing right now to get ready to apply?
So at this point, if they haven't started it already, they should probably get on their Naviance account and make sure that everything is updated there for their teachers to write letters of recommendation, that kind of thing.
Okay, for moms and dads at home, just tell me what Naviance is.
So Naviance is the program that we use that helps students kind of organize all of that stuff. So it's not the actual application.
Okay.
It is where they can search for colleges, they can search for careers, they can ask for their letters of recommendation. That's where all their documentation kind of gets stored and housed and sent from. And then it matches up to like the Common Application, which is what the students would be completing for most of their colleges. So if they're applying to, like, let's say 5 to 7, most of the Common Application is accepted by like 3,700 different schools in the country. Yeah, so it makes it easier for students to apply. They don't have to go to all the different, back in the day you had to get the applications and fill them all out and send them out, but now they try to streamline it as much as possible and make it electronic. So
why should a student try to apply as quickly as possible? I mean, we're taping this in middle of November, and being here with you for a long time, I know the clock is ticking. So what's the advantage?
The clock is ticking. The advantage to getting your application in early is that, one, it just relieves a lot of your own personal stress, that you don't want to be dealing with this over Christmas break when most of you want to celebrate time with your family. But the other advantages are, the sooner you get them in, depending on the school's process, they might have you, they might get a decision earlier. They might know by the end of Christmas break. If they did early action, yep.
Oh, the
early decision is binding, so you can only do that to one school, and that's it. But early action, a lot of schools are going that way. So if you have your application materials in by like November 15th, then you'll know probably close to January 1st whether you've been accepted or not. So that's kind of like the biggest part, because once the application is done, the hard part is waiting for an answer to see whether or not you've been accepted.
On that note, are colleges moving away from this big decision day of March 1 or whatever?
Some are.
Favoring?
Yeah, some are. The Ivy Leagues are not. Yeah, the Ivy Leagues are not. They still go with an early decision deadline or an early action deadline, and then you'll know like in January. But then the masses won't know until like March or April, depending on when their final application deadline is. So it's a rolling process, and it doesn't ever really truly end until students commit on May 1st.
Right. So it could theoretically
it could take you could even, if you're kind of up in the air, and we've had this with students in the past, they were applying to 4-year schools, and then last minute something happened, and they decided that they need to go to a community college for 2 years and save a lot of money. Then they can actually do that like in June. So there's definitely time.
Guidance from you and all the other guidance counselors down there in our great guidance office. What do you tell students they should look for when selecting a college? What are some of the
biggest thing,
criteria, the big pieces?
The biggest thing that I mean, a lot of students get hung up on names, and names are cool, but you really want to make sure that you get on campus and it's a good fit, because you get out of it what you put into it. So no matter where you go, you're going to get a great education, but it's all about what you put into it. So if you want to get involved and you want to have certain criteria, then you kind of have to do the research and do the planning ahead of time. You can't just kind of decide the night before that you're going to apply. And because now colleges actually have the ability to track all of that, whether you've been on campus, whether you've talked to an admissions counselor, whether you've filled out an inquiry, whether you've emailed their admissions, like they track all of that in what they call that demonstrated interest. So in the admissions department's formula, when they're looking to make a decision on a student, they look at, grade point average, what kind of courses you're taking, are you challenging yourself, teacher's letters of recommendation, the counselor's letter of recommendation, and then you might be blowing it off the charts with all of those numbers and criteria, but if you've never stepped foot on the campus, they almost will consider you to be a ghost applicant, which means that you're just throwing it out there just to see what happens as a safety school or whatever. And they may not even accept you, even though you meet all of their criteria, just because they're like, well, I'm not going to waste that spot on somebody who's not going to come here.
When you have someone who's visited
and who's really done all the legwork,
very diligent in the application. What's the best way to apply today to schools?
I would say electronically, Common App, if you're doing a combination of private schools and state schools. If you're just applying to state schools, the state university system, the SUNYs, actually have their own Common App, which is much simpler. So if you already know that that's where you're going to go, or you're going to a state school for whatever reason, then that's probably the easiest way to do it.
Okay. I don't want to use the word standard advice, but what advice do you have for our kids leaving us in June and they're going into their first year? I mean, I know I talk about it in the English classroom, about what you should do. What are some pieces of advice you traditionally give to students?
To students when they go there,
entering their first year. Freshman year, yeah.
Is to really learn to structure their time.
Okay, I agree with that.
That is, I think, the biggest issue that a lot of freshmen have, because for their entire lives, their day has been structured for them. They've been told what time to get up, what time school ends, their extracurricular activities, like they've done all of this scheduling, or their parents have done all this scheduling, we've done all this scheduling. And now suddenly they're kind of thrown into this. And so managing, 5 classes in a semester, and, all of a sudden their extracurriculars are not done, and all of that kind of structuring how to manage that syllabus and your assignments and all of that is a challenge for a lot of students.
And as a footnote to that, I think the biggest thing is what you're saying is this newfound level of independence without people really there to guide you.
Yeah.
You have to do it. You have to be your own
You have to
advocate.
you have to seek it out. There's help on campuses for all of those things, but they kind of, a lot of times they just figure that, oh, well, I don't need to do that because their teachers were always accessible. We have unit lunch. I can just go whenever I need to. And to learn how to deal with office hours and then to ask for help and how to get that is sometimes of a challenge.
Final question in our final minute together. We talked about colleges, but really, what are some alternatives for those who just aren't ready for college?
Yeah, well,
and that's a realistic thing.
It's a realistic thing. I think in our culture and especially in our community, the equation looks something like, college equals, future employment and, successful, stable jobs, things like that. And that's not necessarily the case anymore. So students who are not wired that way and have a lot of gifts and talents to show in other areas, they can look at apprenticeship programs, they can look at technical schools, they can look at community colleges, maybe take a couple classes for business, get out in the workforce and try things on.
If we had more time, I'd also I'm a big fan. I've read a lot about that gap year. So another time we could talk about that because I think that's beneficial as well.
Yeah, it's all about what you do with that gap year.
Well, yeah, not sit around and play Nintendo all day.
Yeah, exactly.
But go out and
that'd be a great thing to talk about.
All right, thanks for your time, Mary. It's a very important issue for our students as they get closer and closer to June. All right, that'll do it for this edition of School Talk. Don't go away. Wildcat News will be right back.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out?
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Welcome back. It's great to know the useful in and outs about preparing for college.
Certain individuals can have a huge impact through the work they do. Recently, the world of animation and kids shows suffered a loss that gave different people different reactions to the passing.
With the recent passing of the creator of SpongeBob SquarePants, we're out in Warwick Valley High School finding out what people thought about the show and what their favorite episodes were.
My favorite episode of SpongeBob is when he eats like a bunch of cereal to try and find the toy that he really wants, and it actually inspired me when I was little. It looked like Rice Krispies without milk in it, so then I started eating Rice Krispies without without milk, and then just started eating cereal without milk, and it really inspired me, and I really love SpongeBob.
My favorite SpongeBob episode would happen to be Club SpongeBob. That is the episode that's based on The Lord of the Flies. So when I taught 10th grade English, I made a point to show that episode in the end and discuss the parallels. I don't think a lot of people realize all the literary references in SpongeBob and just how intelligent that show that seems so nonsensical could actually be.
I like the episode where like Patrick's parents come and they're not his parents. This is funny.
My favorite episode of SpongeBob was probably the hash slinging slasher. It really scared me when I was a little kid because the hash slinging slasher and Nosferatu at the end, he's flicking the lights. He's got plungers on the roof and he's walking on them and they think it's a hash slinging slasher, but it's not. It's just a guy with a spatula in his sleeve. He's really sneaky with that. He comes clinking on the door for Krabby Patties and it's a hash slinging slasher.
My favorite episode of SpongeBob would actually be the SpongeBob movie, because as SpongeBob goes throughout his journey to bring back the crown to the Krusty Krab, it truly encapsulates what all people hope to achieve in their lives. And as he transforms in the very final moments of the movie, it's very emotional for me.
Rest in peace, Stephen. You will be missed, and you gave us all very memorable moments in our childhood.
Stephen Hillenberg was 57 and passed away from a battle with ALS. He will always be remembered in the hearts of young and old.
Recently, a few students at the Warwick Valley High School attended a group training exercise. They learned how to work together as a team to accomplish tasks that would heavily build their communication skills.
Recently, students at the Warwick Valley High School experienced just a taste of what firefighters have to go through when rescuing people in a fire.
So what we did was we had a little drill here today where we put masks on the kids. We had them blacked out. We were trying to simulate a fire experience where it was black smoke and they had to search and find victims in a fire apartment.
The students were given tools to hold as they navigated their way through the exercise, which in turn helped make it more difficult and also helped make it more of a learning experience.
The whole point of the class is about how to be good leaders and how to how leaders should react when they're put in a challenging position. And I believe that Mr. Mulvihill, obviously when you're in a burning building, you have to be able to find overcome your fear and be a leader.
So whether you're rescuing people as a firefighter or you're just becoming a future leader, there's something to be learned that will help individuals change the world.
Overall, the students got to know how the firefighters navigate through the smoky apartments and also learned valuable communication strategies with their peers.
With 2018 coming to a close.
That was so bad.
Get a cue.
I'm Joseph Giuliano, and I'm out here asking people what they think they're going to remember from 2018.
The one thing that probably stuck out to me the most was like our last game against Maypac, because I feel like
Recently, students at the Warwick Valley High School experienced just a taste of what firefighters have to go through when rescuing people in a fire.
So what we did was we had a little drill here today where we put masks on the kids. We had them blacked out. We were trying to simulate a fire experience where it was black smoke and they had to search and find victims in a fire apartment.
The students were given tools to hold as they navigated their way through the exercise, which in turn helped make it more difficult and also helped make it more of a learning experience.
The whole point of the class is about how to be good leaders and how how leaders should react when they're put in a challenging position. And I believe that Mr. Mulvihill, obviously when you're in a burning building, you have to be able to find, overcome your fear and be a leader.
So whether you're rescuing people as a firefighter or you're just becoming a future leader, there's something to be learned that will help individuals change the world.
Overall, the students got to know how the firefighters navigate through the smoky apartments and also learned valuable communication strategies with their peers.
With 2018 coming to a close, people might take the time to look back on the past year and reflect on what they did. This is just some of what people said.
I'm Joseph Giuliano, and I'm out here asking people what they think they're going to remember from 2018.
The one thing that probably stuck out to me the most was our last game against Maypac, because I feel like I bonded with my teammates more.
One thing that happened in 2018 was when I was at the bonfire for the school. It was such a good time. We hung out with all my friends. It's a good memory.
Well, something that stuck out to me was the bonfire, because I'm new, so I met new people, and it's just different to me coming to this school.
One thing from 2018 that sticks out to me is the games, because I met lots of new people and I got to see my team win most of them.
One thing from 2018 that sticks out in my mind is that I made a lot of new friends, and at the bonfire it was super fun and everyone just did amazing and everyone was just awesome.
Well, this year might be over. People are going to hold memories from it for many, many years to come.
It's nice to see people remembering the good memories at the end of the year.
Students at Sanfordville Elementary had an opportunity to have a new experience recently. Let's take a look.
Sanfordville Elementary held their second annual multicultural night this November. The students and their families were invited to learn about cultures from all over the world. Students were able to connect with the different cultures by creating art projects.
I hope that they have pride in their own heritage, but then also learn about other heritages and maybe even take some of those customs.
Students gained a greater appreciation of the cultures by watching dances and listening to songs.
I thought the dances were really cool. My favorite activity would be the dances. I like seeing that. I think that's interesting, hearing the different music.
The students learned many valuable lessons while celebrating world cultures.
Looks like both the kids and parents had a blast.
Students and parents alike were all in for a treat when the high school put on their fall play.
For thousands of years, people have been acting, but it takes a special kind of person to put in the time and energy into taking a story and bringing it to life.
I thought you were just teasing, but I guess you were right.
Here at the high school, our drama club puts on 2 productions every year, a play in the fall and a musical around springtime.
Do not dare to speak his name in my presence.
These productions can't happen overnight. The real work is done leading up to the show, where it's all hands on deck.
Mask our wallpaper off and get in there and do it. Put the clock face on.
Although the commitment may seem like a lot, the people who make it love what they do.
You've got to make sure that all your homework's done, make sure that if you have any jobs, you have to make sure that the hours are correct. But it's all kind of being put forth into a really amazing outcome, and I think that's one of the big satisfactions that I get.
And for most actors, it's not just a performance, it's a lifestyle.
My mother's a director and my father's a Shakespearean actor. So theater's just been in my life for forever. I've been doing it since I was little, since I was 5. So I just continued in high school, and I still continue outside of school and inside of school.
When I was really little, my cousins and I would put on shows for the entire family on vacation, and eventually we got old enough that we were getting yelled at to stop because they were getting too elaborate.
I really just kind of fell in love with it, and ever since it's probably been the thing I'm most involved with and passionate about.
And a lot of time and effort goes into making each production happen. And whether it's Mr. DeLeo leading the charge or stage crew behind the scenes, they're committed to getting the job done. Their hard work pays off on show night, as the drama club never ceases to amaze their audience with their dedication and hard work to make the story come to life. For Wildcat News, I'm Jeffrey Koff.
The Witch and the Wardrobe was amazing. So be sure not to miss their spring musical.
Oh, stop. We're going to redo that because they cut too early. Okay, bring it back to the top prompter.
Bro! Mike,
We're going to do it from back then. Cool. Okay,
I was smiling and everything too.
Oh,
Ready?
come on.
And cue.
The performance of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was amazing. So be sure not to miss their spring musical, Mamma Mia. It'll be quite the show. What? Thanks for checking out this edition of Wildcat News. What were you saying?
If you have any ideas for future stories, stop by room 136 and let the staff of WVTV know.
Subscribe to WVTV on YouTube today. See you next time.
Bad foods can kill you. Fatty and sugary foods are why 36% of Americans are obese. Unhealthy foods can lead to deadly diseases like cardiovascular disease, hypertension, and even diabetes. But that can be avoided by maintaining a healthy and balanced diet. Please, do what's best for you. Eat the right food. Visit nutrition.gov for more information.